Welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast, where we talk about fitness, health, and anything to help you become the most optimal human beings. Let's dive into it. All right, how's it going, ladies and gentlemen? We are back with the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast and an athlete interview with someone who is not really a stranger to the podcast, Tim Harper. How's it going, Tim?
How's it going? We doing good?
Yeah. So Tim's been on twice, and I think the first time you were on was probably like 5 years ago or something like that, 2018 maybe.
18, yeah.
Yeah, really long time. So you've been around for a super long time, and going from some of the smaller individual programs to now finally doing the monthly or weekly Garage Matthew workout. So first, let's throw it on over to you. Give them a quick catch up of who you are, what you do, how you train, where you're at. That all good stuff.
All right, well, I'm Tim from West Michigan. My occupation has actually changed since the last time I was on. Now I'm a full-time firefighter. I was working with adult foster care before. So I just started that job last January, so I'm barely a year in, so that's cool. I follow Garage Gym Athlete programming now, Hard to Kill, probably for life, Hard to Kill for life, and it's been great. I used to do my own programming following the end of three principles, and I did the program design course, and I did that for a couple of years. And honestly, it's just a lot of work. It was a lot of work. So when you guys had the one-time pricing every year for the full year, I was like, that's kind of not. I know I said before I don't really like monthly subscriptions, so it's like a yearly thing. In my brain, it helps for me to do that, and I get a better deal. So yeah, it was a good enough price for me to say, yep, I'm on board, and it's been good. Um, Results wise, I've had a few hiccups in my fitness journey the last couple of years. I had a back injury that was from overhead pressing, which was kind of strange. That would put me out for it was probably like 8 months before I was kind of getting back into the groove of how things were. I went to body weight only for several months. Couldn't do like a squat without like a little bit of pain. Um, so I dropped down and then I built back up, and then not last year, but the year before, November, I got COVID really bad, and it like knocked me out, and it was probably 6 or 8 months again before I felt aerobically normal. And so it was like a bittersweet at the end of that year. I kind of was leveled off, kind of where I was my best numbers before. So that was something. But then I came back this last one and busted through a lot of my numbers, strength wise especially. So that was good to see. It was hard to judge, like, is this better working? Like, I don't really know because of all my issues I've been having, health and injury wise, the last couple of years. So it's nice to see things now starting to progress in a positive direction.
Yeah. So what did you do when you were like sick and kind of working to get back? Because I guess that would be, you joined to do the regular programming, but just being able to have to program for yourself, that's also kind of nice to be able to rely on, whether it's editing a workout because of limitations and whatnot. So what did you do during that time period?
Well, I tried to stick to it best I could for the strength portions, at least. For all the cardio portions, I just kind of did more like an RPE, because my heart rate my heart rate percentage got all jacked up too. Like I used to be this tired at this many beats per minute, and now I'm way more tired at a much lower heart rate. So it was like my max heart rate felt like it dropped like 20 or 30 beats perception wise. But for that, I tried to stick to it. And also, I was going through the fire academy, so they did their own workouts there too. So I was trying to keep up with everything and still managed to do pretty well. It was just I just felt fatigued earlier, a lot earlier. Like my aerobic endurance was not anything like it used to be. It was
Yeah.
noticeable.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. And we've definitely been all had those ruts, whether code is one thing, but also back injuries, leg injuries, hip injuries, stuff like that, to where we've had to dial it back. So I think everybody can a little bit relate there. Did you completely change what programming you were doing because of the back injury, or did you like? I think you were doing body weight for a little while as well.
Yeah, yeah. So I actually started garage gym athlete right around that injury time, and then just went to the no gear track, and I did that for several months before I started getting into weights a little bit more. It was it was a long time before I was back to normal. Like for some reason, this is kind of weird, but like sitting on the toilet was like one of the most painful things to do. I don't know, just that position or whatever. It was just one of the more painful things. So that's how I judged my recovery. Like, oh, does it hurt to take a dump today? Okay.
I mean, hey, whatever works. Mine's usually like putting on socks, like depending on how my hip is, and that like some of that rotation or whatever. If it hurts to put on socks, I'm like, should I squat today? I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe that's not today. Um, it is nice to be able to like having a knowledge to program for yourself. I guess if you need when you need to edit it or help somebody else out, or even just when you see a workout, understanding what the intent is versus but like it is a completely different beast to completely write it for yourself because it does take some time and it just one less thing you have to worry about.
Yeah, my problem with programming for myself was I'm an overthinker. I have like really bad FOMO. So it's
Oh,
like you're trying to fit so much into something because you don't want to miss out on this progress here or this
mhm.
progress there. And like I was just overthinking everything, and it was just made things a lot more complicated than they had to be.
I think I tend to get somewhat tunnel vision to where I'll focus on like key areas and I'll only focus on key areas and I'll forget about a couple of other things. And it's like, oh crap. And now I go back to the other thing and then I just completely suck at it. So tell us about your garage. Has it changed much? Can get an update for your setup and how
I can
if you've got any insulation yet?
no, I I actually put in some. It was before that podcast, but it's not like fully insulated. It's just not heated. I can run out real quick and hope that I keep my signal.
Oh yeah, no big deal either way.
My garage kind of sucks for signal.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. I got my Concept 2 rower. This is like my messy garage space. I'm gonna park a car in here during the winter
Because
months
of
with the
snow. Yeah.
snow. So Concept 2 rower. I think mostly the same stuff as last time. I've got my home built squat rider, home built 30 or 24 by 30 36 box, and then um, my deadlift. I use like a that's like a lifting platform.
Yeah.
Got my air bike, couple of med balls, nothing terribly new. Oh, I did get some
Yeah.
kettlebells like last year or the year before for
Nice.
less than $1 a pound, so I jumped on those.
Oh, nice.
Um,
That's good. Especially
pair of
the
fives
last
and a
couple of
pair of
years because
50.
yeah, especially the last couple of years because of the equipment prices have been pretty high. But you did do a
Yeah,
full garage gym tour, which we have on our YouTube channel. If anybody else wants to check that out, where you go over everything a little bit more.
yeah.
So, what's going on training wise with you? Do you have any goals that you're aiming for now? Do you have anything that you're specifically focused on training?
Um, I'm kind of honestly, I did the 300 challenge. Yeah, so I was kind of disappointed in myself honestly because I went through that whole thing and I didn't come up with like a system or a routine or anything that just kept rolling. I didn't There wasn't any momentum after it was done. It was like, okay, that's done. Now what do I do? There's just kind of like that limbo area of I don't know what I'm working for right now or toward, and so I've just been doing it, just following the programming still. Um, I think my goal, like numbers wise, I want to get to like a 2 time body weight squat. I'm like at 1 point. I just jumped in the 1.75 competitor category on the last fit week, so that was exciting. And my deadlift, I hit a a PR of 450, which was cool. So I'm
Nice.
like, I'm kind of not like super strong, but strong enough to be like, hey, I'm kind of strong. My press, my press doesn't go anywhere, so I've been struggling with that. I actually was starting to do the grid with kettlebell presses,
Mm.
and then I just got back from Hawaii actually, so that kind of messed that kind of stuff up. Um, but yeah, I'm just kind of trying to keep my strength numbers at least, and I think I want to work on my aerobic capacity. Like my zone two, I've done a lot of zone two during the 300 challenge, but it hasn't really improved. Like my mile times haven't improved in zone two,
Hmm.
and I'm not really sure why that is. But I've been trying to work a lot of that into it. Mobility. I've been doing some injury prevention. My fire department has paid for us to see a physical therapist. It was actually kind of cool because they put sensors on my legs and my lower back and had me go through these movements and actually see where imbalances were in your body through like
Oh, that's pretty cool.
just yeah, just those metrics. So I just started doing that like last week. So I'm working on that too. Um, Back injuries aren't fun, so I
Yeah,
want to avoid that if I can.
it's definitely something that you can't rush back into, and also like it's hard to scale other things around it because you have to put as little stress on it as possible, and that's why like this past year I had my own little back and hip injury, so I was doing PT for a while and just doing body weight stuff, make sure I wasn't putting on too much load. So yeah, and definitely don't rush back from those, especially if with if press is how you heard it in the first place. I think kettlebell press probably is fine because I don't think you would need to overextend your back or anything from that. Dips is also really really great when it comes to helping your press for ring dips.
Okay, yeah,
That's what I've done in the past. You gotta get on a strength track if you're really going for those uh, body weight, the two times body weight squat. So I got mine.
yeah. But I got FOMO, man. I'd be like worried that I'm gonna get less endurance. Like H2K is like kind of helps with the FOMO. Because like I'm not gonna get
Yeah,
too much of anything, but I'm not gonna miss out on anything.
that makes sense. Um, so how was the transition from going from, I guess you'd say, a desk job to an active, firefighter job? How was that with balancing whether training and then just training now and then during your transition, I guess you'd say.
Well, the starting at the beginning of that story when I got COVID, it was actually they have a fitness test that you have to pass to get into the fire department. And it was day 11 of COVID. Like it was just after my 10-day quarantine period. And I almost didn't get the job because you're supposed to have like a practice,
Hmm.
like according to whatever rules they have, you have to go to like a practice session and then a real session. And I couldn't make the practice session. And so I went to the real one and I was calling. I was like, can I just do this, please? Like, and it was so hard
Dang.
because COVID knocked me out really bad. So I'm like struggling, and I made it in like the deadline's like 10 and a half minutes, and I made it in like 9:45. So it's cutting it pretty close. Um, but moving transition wise from that, um, the fire department is you're like an athlete, but it's not like all the time you're on. It's like you have to be ready to do this all the time. So it's not like every day we're kicking indoors and putting out
Hmm.
fires and pulling people out of a burning building or a car accident or something. But you get those, sometimes you'll go months and months with nothing like that, nothing super strenuous physically, but you want to be physically prepared because you don't want to be stuck in that situation and not be able to do it. So it's kind of like one of those, you just have to mentally know that you're trying to be ready for that situation. Um, but it's not, yeah, you're up and down a lot more. I don't have to worry about like my Garmin watch telling me to move because I'm, always up and down at least a few times an hour usually. And so it's nice in that respect that I don't have to think about how long I've been sitting down. Should probably move my body some. Like it's nice in that respect.
You probably train at the station a good bit too, then, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. So that's I don't like it as well as my garage. Like
Oh,
there's
really?
just there's just something about being in my space, you know, like even if the equipment's better somewhere else, there's just and honestly the equipment's not better. I have better equipment than some of their stuff. They have like the Smith machine and
uh,
treadmills and stuff like that. It's kind of like almost a little bit better than a hotel gym. I would say better because they have a barbell and weights, but they don't. I have way more weight and I have a better Concept 2 machine, and I like my setup. I know it so well, you know,
yeah,
and it works for me. There's sometimes I have to kind of adjust things based on the equipment that I have available where I'm at, where I wouldn't have to do that at home. But
yeah,
I try to look ahead and be like, when am I going to be home when I can do this? I hate treadmills, so anytime I'm trying to run, I try to do that at home. Um, but I try to work out at work too because that also when you're at home, that cuts into your home time now when you
yeah.
could be to have done that at work. So it's a balancing act. It's a juggle. It's trying to figure that stuff out, and I'm still in the process of kind of learning the ins and outs of all of that. But it's been good.
Yeah, I know. I guess fire stations can be hit and miss because so some have like really good setups, but I guess if you're in a smaller station, you probably don't have a lot of the resources to sort of put together a really good gym.
Yeah, it's that, and it's also like just the culture around it. Some people like a lot of the guys like the bodybuilding sort of
Hmm.
routine. You know, the 8 sets of 15 or whatever like that. Just a
Yeah,
lot of volume and the glory muscles, and they do like some of them will just do mostly upper body. But there's a good chunk of people that'll do like um, circuits, like you know, mul- uh, I just had a
mixed
brain
modal.
fart. Yeah, mixed modal circuits, throwing
Yeah,
sandbags and doing push-ups and stuff like that. So there's a mix of everybody in there, but it's not always uniform with where you're at and what you're getting into with the gyms.
yeah. All right, so let's get into some of these other questions. First, this is a sort of a new one that we've started with people that have been on before. But do you have a recent meet yourself moment that you experienced?
A recent meet myself moment. There, the physical therapy things are like not super strenuous. They're frustratingly difficult that I'm doing. It just shows me
More on the
how
mental
bad I
side.
am. Yeah, it's physical, but yeah, it's the mental of why do I suck at this so bad? There's like this exercise where you jump forward and you're trying to like cushion the landing as best you
Hmm.
can on one leg. And I do fine on my left leg, but my right leg apparently I have like awful balance and I just always fall over every single time and I don't feel like I'm getting better. It's like, oh my gosh, why am I so terrible? So it's trying to move out of that mindset and like, okay, focus on where's your knee going? Where is your balance going? Why are you losing your balance? And that can be a challenge for sure.
Yeah, I'm doing some PT recently. I did something similar to that effect. Um, so then I guess physically, what's the hardest workout you ever done? And see if this has changed or been updated since.
It's changed. It wasn't a workout, but it was a physical activity. So I got to tell the whole story though. I went to Puerto Rico a couple of years ago, and the way my wife and I do things, we kind of just go around the island. So we spend like a day in each location, kind of thing.
Okay.
And we booked some surfing lessons, and we were only in this area for one day. The morning of, the guy calls me and he's like, "Hey man, I got to cancel. The waves are they're just too big for like a beginner surfer." And I'm like, "Well, I'm only here one day. Pretty fit. I'm pretty comfortable in the water. Let's try it anyway." And he's like, "All right, if you quit in 15 minutes, I'm charging you 2 hours." That was basically the thing. And I'm like, "Okay, deal." And I'm out there and just going through they throw the board on the sand and have you do your little motions of going through everything just to see that you've got it. And he's telling me like, all right, the waves come in sets. You kind of wait for a lull between the sets, and then you try to get out there and paddle as fast as you can. And he showed you like this turtle roll where you grab the board and you roll upside down in the water. to let the wave
Yep.
pass you so you don't get destroyed by it. So I'm like, okay, I can do this. So I start paddling out, and these waves just like are just beating me to a pulp. I'm just getting smashed, and I'm like, turtle roll, come back up, and I like maybe two paddles, and I'm like, turtle roll again, and I can't breathe, and my arms have never felt heavier in their entire like they're just smoked. I'm just paddling, just trying, and I'm this close to just giving up and turning around. I was so close to quitting, but I didn't, and I just paddled all the way through it. I didn't want to throw up with the salt water getting in your mouth, and just like I was so nauseous, and I finally got out there. It was like 25 minutes, and he's like, "All right, just rest." And I rested for like 30 minutes behind the waves, and that was like probably the most physically demanding thing I've ever had to do in my life. And it's like just surfing. But this guy left. He just left me there. He wasn't gonna sit out there in the crash zone with me. He's just like he's out there just waiting for me. He probably rode like 3 waves or something. I don't know, but it was terrible, terrible. And I got out there. I rode my first wave, the only wave I was gonna ride because I wasn't making out there again. And I got to stand up a little bit. And what he ended up explaining was there were sets coming from 2 directions, so there was never a lull in between the sets. It was just waves here, and then during the lull over on this side was here comes the waves, and so I was just getting smashed. It was terrible, but I got a healthy respect for surfers. We'll just say
Yeah.
that.
I've only done surfing once, and it was definitely hard. That rollover is rough too because like it's one thing to get under, but then to get back from
It's so
underneath to
exerting.
yeah, it was rough.
When you do it 5 times in a row, you're like, oh my god, oh my god. And then it pushes you back, and you're like trying to
Yeah,
paddle, and you're like, I don't think I've gone anywhere.
it's also one of those things it's hard to just quit because you can't just stop. You have to like, well, I still have to go all the way back to shore. I still have to fight myself back there, so you can't even just like give up, like just roll over.
And every second
That's
you quit is like, okay, now I've just wasted 5 minutes of paddling that I've done
yeah,
because I've been pushed back like another 100 feet. Like, oh my gosh.
yeah. That's going. Yeah. Um, in your opinion, what's the best activity for building mental toughness? Maybe besides surfing.
I gotta still stick with. I think I said meditation last time because meditation is just so hard for me. I hate it. I hate everything about it. It's not fun. It's not. I don't even know if I'm getting all the benefits from it when I do it, but it's like one of those things that you have to I have to psych myself up for every time. It's never just part of the day. It's never just part of something. It's like, okay, force myself to slow down, force myself to just chill out. And so that's I don't know. It's a really good activity, I think.
That's good. Um, if you could have one piece of equipment to train with for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I don't remember what I said last time. Like a pull up bar I said at one time. I kinda like the pull up bar, but I think I'm gonna go with the barbell. Just to be among the popular crowd, I guess. It's just
Yeah,
so versatile to have a barbell. And sometimes I miss it when I'm at work or something, and there's just maybe there's something about my barbell and my weights. I just like my stuff. I don't know what it
yeah,
is, but
that makes
yeah.
sense. Um, and what's the best advice you have for garage gym athletes?
Like you're as a garage gym athlete, you're kind of just on your own a lot of the times, and so even in the moments where you feel washed out or unmotivated or like this doesn't matter, why am I doing this, just if you have to go through the motions for a while until you can refine that purpose or that drive and try to surround yourself with things, people, even if it's not in person, like fill your social media feed with fitness or motivational things so that you can find that again. Because as a garage gym athlete, it's really hard to stick with that. Like I had a friend live with me for almost a year, and it was awesome having garage gym partner. And then he left, and it's like been this void ever since. It's like, man, it was really nice having a workout buddy. So just keep at it, keep pushing through, and if you have to, go through the motions because it's better than nothing.
That's why somewhat of our programming, biasly, is great because everybody's on the same workout at the same time or the same week. So a lot of times, especially in like the community that we've just started up, people are just talking about how they're doing the workout that day, how are they doing the workout the next day, and if you have, even if it's somebody like online, you have somebody that you's like, okay, well, I know I'm going to have to talk to so and so about this instead of telling them I didn't do it. Maybe I should just do it anyway. Yeah, it's good. It can be hard, especially if you have a flexible schedule to make yourself go out and do some of these workouts alone.
Yep. I did want to mention while I'm on here, the 300 challenge. I was like super disciplined the entire year. Like every Sunday, I did Monday through Sunday. Every Sunday, I would sit down and like calculate my minutes and make sure that I had 300. And I get to the end of December, and I'm just kind of like scrolling back, double checking everything. And then the week of Thanksgiving, it's like I had 288 minutes. I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? 12 minutes. 12 minutes. And I lost level 2 and 3 on that challenge. That was a meet yourself moment because I was very upset. I was not happy at all. And I'm just like, I almost got depressed. Like I was just, I don't know. I was just out of it. It's like I've invested this whole year and I've been making all these sacrifices toward what? and, I, and it wasn't, it was, is in the moment, I didn't even think about any of the like other positive outcomes. I was like, I completely failed this whole thing over 12 minutes.
Yeah,
So
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, 12 minutes doesn't matter. All it does is matter for the challenge checkbox because you still basically did everything. But it is pretty frustrating to go through so long and just like, crap.
and it wasn't like I noticed it when it happened. It was like a month later, almost a month later, and I'm looking. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're kidding me. And I over I punched in my calculator probably 25 times. It's like, am I missing something? Oh my gosh, it's terrible. Had my days, just not my minutes.
That sucks. Well, it's always this year.
Yeah,
Shoot
yeah.
again. Um, well, thanks for being on, man. It's always good to catch up, and you've definitely gone through the wide progression of all of our stuff and programming and all the programs and stuff. So it's always good to catch up, and I guess we'll see if you come on again if we're still doing these in a couple years.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, see ya.